If you haven't been paying attention to the news lately, you probably didn't know that we had a new president by the name of Donald J. Trump, President 45 and number 47. Now, this president thinks that he's changing the game. And what I mean changing the game is he's changed teams. This is the first president we ever seen turn his back on our allies. He's also been trying to implement tariffs to Canada and to Mexico that just took place last night, which was 25% to each one of them that you will have to pay out. And then he also put another 10% on top of the 10% that was in China, which puts us at 20%. But that's not what we're here for today. If you live in one of the northern states of America, you probably didn't know that a majority of your power comes from our neighbor to the north, Canada. And guess what Canada just announced? They said if they keep implementing these tariffs, they're going to cut the power off to the northern states in America, which is going to be pretty damn bad. But hey, I'm Mo.J, and this is the Mo You Know. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let's see what Canada has to say.
Are people nervous? Yeah, they're nervous because of President Trump. We have to make sure, you have two choices here, folks. We roll over as a country and just let them run over us, or we fight like hell, like we've never fought before. I'm taking option two. I'm fighting like hell, and we're going to protect Canada. He's underestimating the Canadian people, the resilience of the Canadian people, and the strength of the Canadian people. I said, number one, I don't start a tariff war, but we're going to win this tariff war. Right off the hop, I've directed the LCBO, we're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, to remove every bit of U.S. alcohol off the shelves. I know my good friend, the governor of Kentucky, he's losing his mind right now. I said, you better talk to your president. Mitch McConnell, senior senator from Kentucky, they're losing their mind. We purchased over $1 billion of alcohol, 3,600 products, 35 states. It's going to hit them. We call them the kitchen table issues. Then we're going to cancel Starlinks right away from Elon Musk. Not that $100 million makes a difference for him, but it's principle. I've directed the procurement of over $30 billion of goods not to go to the U.S., to make sure we buy Ontario first. And if we can't find it in Ontario and we can't build it in Ontario, we go across the country. I'm asking politely, until I implement it, every retail store, when you go look at the shelf talker that has the price, we need to see a Canadian flag on that price. A lot of people can't pick it up and scan it. So please work with us, or we're going to legislate it. I'll tell you this. Uranium for the U.S. comes from Saskatchewan. I've had deep conversations with my good friend, closest ally, Scott Moe, the Premier of Saskatchewan. That uranium goes over to Port Hope, Ontario to get processed. From Port Hope, it goes down to get enriched, down to the U.S. I will not and cannot speak for Scott Moe. He's a patriot. He loves Canada. But if we got to stockpile our high-grade nickel here in Ontario and sell it to the world, so be it. And as for uranium, I'll leave that up to Scott to decide. The potash that fertilizes all their farming communities. As President Trump is going after our dairy farmers, we're sending them fertilizer. 87% of it is going to the U.S. And yeah, can they try to get potash everywhere else? They can, but they can't get it up the Mississippi River. So they're stuck with Canadian potash. Can they get uranium? Yeah, if they want to cozy up to Russia, which I see President Trump doing, you can try to get uranium there. But why would you do that? We want to ship more uranium, more potash, more nickel, more energy, and build an AMCAN fortress. I can't for the life of me figure out why this guy's attacking his closest neighbors, allies, and friend. A tariff on Canada is a tax on Americans. And I'm going to repeat that on NBC, CNN, Fox News, CNBC. I'm going to be hammering the airwaves to get that message to the Americans. They're going to get hurt. It's the wrong decision. But if they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. So, and I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Quebec, Manitoba, BC, we all have to act in unison. Out east, they rely on our energy. They need to feel the pain. They want to come at us hard, we're going to come back twice as hard.
About the Starlink deal, why not cancel that right now? Given what the president, the display in the Oval Office, you've been a strong supporter of Ukraine. We know that Starlink, there's been a problem with Starlink in Ukraine, and Mr. Musk, why not send a message right now to the Ukrainian people and to people in Canada and say this deal is done, we're not doing business with this guy?
I'm not going to start a tariff war. I'm not going to be the one that pokes the line, per se. But I can assure you, he comes at us, he's going to get a rude awakening. We're unlike any other country. You know, we have 41 million people, but we're powerful. We're powerful on energy. We're powerful on nuclear energy, on oil, on goods going back and forth across the border. We buy more off the United States than any other government in the world. And I always say, President Trump, you can't unscramble an egg. The supply chain's so intertwined. You just have to make it a larger omelet. That's what you have to do. And we'll see how he moves on this. But we will respond, as sure as I'm standing here, tariff for tariff, dollar for dollar. And anything that I can do as a province, we're going to do.
Now, you hear what Canada had to say. They're fighting back as much as they can. If we're going to implement tariffs, they're going to do it also. They mentioned that they're going to put 100% tariffs on Elon Musk and his Teslas. They are talking about canceling the Starlink. And there's rumors that they're going to try to primarily focus on all of the red states to get these governors and these senators to start applying that pressure to Donald Trump, because they know that it's the right-leaning states that are the ones that are backing all of this. Now, this article does say Canada to cut off electricity to United States, need to feel the pain. This is going to get ugly. I know a lot of people say, oh, this isn't going to affect us. This isn't our fight. Well, you're going to be affected by it. They said they're going to stop buying liquor, which is going to make these liquor companies start to look at Donald Trump like, hey, man, you need to remove those tariffs. That's $1 billion industry just going up to Canada. The farmers who already dislike Trump, they're like, hey, we get our fertilizer from up there. The uranium, what we going to do? Get it from Russia? You think Russia's about to give us uranium while they're in the middle of a war that Donald Trump won't downplay and say that Putin is the bad guy, the aggressive here? Well, this is where we're at. But this article says Canada to cut off electricity to the United States, need to feel the pain. Ontario Prime Minister Doug Ford said on Monday that they will block energy exports to the United States with a smile if United States President Donald Trump moved ahead with the plan of 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. And that was last night. We also heard him tell the stores, put that Canadian flag to let everybody know, hey, all this stuff is produced here. So the U.S. imposed 25% on Canadian goods, except for energy products, which face a 10% tariff. It's also put a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and an additional 10% on Chinese goods. Now, the key thing here is they put 25% on Canadian goods, but it only gives 10% to the energy. So somebody in his camp told Trump, hey, man, they supply a lot of energy to our northern states, so they only made that 10%. But Doug Ford said, I'm cutting it all off. You want to put tariffs on us at all? It's all off. Because remember, Donald Trump, under his first administration, they made the free trade, the North American Free Trade Agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States. According to the figures, the U.S. Energy Information Administration, Canada is by some margin the largest source of American energy imports, with 59% of all crude oil imports into the United States in 2019 coming from the country. So energy imports give Canada a powerful lever to hit back at the Trump administration in a way that is likely to raise the prices and stoke the inflation in the United States. Now, real quick, a lot of the oil, of course, America produces the most. Now, up in Canada, they have 16 different factories, but they don't have refineries. So how that works between the two countries, they'll get the oil because they got the heavier oil. They got lighter oil here in the United States called shale oil. That's where the Shell company comes from, gas. But since it's lighter, they import it from Canada and they refine it here in the United States, because a lot of the oil that they get in Canada isn't close to a refinery because it's further out, in the land that Canada has. So they bring it into America and then they sell it back at a premium. But That's when the free trade worked, so everyone can enjoy, the fruits of everyone's labor. Hey, we're a partner. This is North America. But now what they're talking about, they're not going to send any of that heavy oil down. Gas prices are going to go up. We know about supply and demand. So Canada, they do have leverage here, and it looks like they're about to use it as best to their ability until America starts to feel it. Now, of course, it's not going to be instant, but we're going to start to see drastic changes. Plus, the farmers, they're already out of it. There's no fertilizer coming in. 80% of that comes from Canada. Now, the last thing, we'll get into some details of how much power they actually supply to the United States. In an NBC interview on Monday, Ford said Canadian Energy kept the lights on for 1.5 million homes in manufacturing facilities in New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. So obviously that's up towards Buffalo, New York. Michigan is going to be around the Detroit area, and Minnesota is the Minneapolis, St. Paul, but it might not go that far down. It's probably more like Duluth up north. So Detroit will probably be the largest city affected by that. I know I have some Detroit family up there, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all, but y'all need to be on the lookout for this, and I guess stock up, get you a generator, because if they cut the power and you're one of those 1.5 million homes, it's winter time. We got a snowstorm coming in, a winter storm coming in, so be prepared for that. But Canada, they aren't playing around. They aren't playing around. All right, let me know what you think about this whole trade war. Is it worth it, or are we looking at one of the worst decisions that a president could make, and it's really going to set us back? We've seen the stock market already drop 600 points yesterday. These tariffs are implemented today. It's only going to get worse from here. Farmers, they got the aid. It's all frozen. It's just a crazy time. But let me know what you think. I'm Mo J. This is the Mo You Know. And hey, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate y'all. I'm out.
Jamie on the beat, boy.